Reciprocating engine questions, part 2. Engine operating flexibility is the ability of the engine to run smoothly and give the desired performance at all speeds. A hissing sound from exhaust stacks when the propeller is being pulled through manually indicates exhaust valve blow-by. If the hot clearance is used to set the valves when the engine is cold, what will occur during operation of the engine? The valves will open late and close early. What does valve overlap promote? Better scavenging and cooling characteristics. On which strokes are both valves on a 4-stroke cylinder reciprocating aircraft engine open? Exhaust and intake. Which of the following conditions will cause an engine to have an increased tendency to detonate? High manifold pressure or high intake air temperature? Compression ratio is the ratio between the cylinder volume with the piston at the at bottom dead center and at top dead center. If air-fuel ratio is proper and ignition timing is correct, the combustion process should be completed just after top center at the beginning of the power stroke. Which air-fuel mixture will result in the highest engine temperature? All other factors remaining constant. A mixture leaner than a manual lean mixture of 0.060. During overhaul of an engine, the first step of inspection on a crankshaft should be perform a runout check. Ignition occurs at 28 degrees before top dead center on a certain 4-stroke cycle engine, and the intake valve opens at 15 degrees before top dead center. How many degrees of crankshaft travel after ignition does the intake valve open? Consider one cylinder only. 373 degrees. The primary concern in establishing the firing order for an opposed engine is to provide for balance and eliminate vibration to the greatest extent possible. An unsupercharged aircraft reciprocating engine operated at full throttle from sea level to 10,000 feet, provided the RPM is unchanged, will lose power due to the reduced density of the air down into the cylinders. Which statement pertaining to air-fuel ratios is true? The mixture ratio which gives the best power is richer than the mixture ratio which gives maximum economy. If air is heard coming from the crankcase, breather, or oil filter during a differential compression check, what is this an indication of? Piston ring leakage. During ground check, an engine is found to be rough running. The magneto drop is normal, and the manifold pressure is higher than normal for any given RPM. The trouble may be caused by a dead cylinder. If the oil pressure gauge fluctuates over a wide range from 0 to normal operating pressure, the most likely cause is low oil supply. What is the purpose of a power check on a reciprocating engine? To determine satisfactory performance. If metallic particles are found in the oil filter during an inspection, the cause should be identified and corrected before the aircraft is released for flight. Which statement is correct regarding 4-stroke cycle aircraft engine? The intake valve closes on the compression stroke. What is the best indication of worn valve guides? High oil consumption. What is the purpose of the safety circlet installed on some valve stems? To prevent valves from falling into the combustion chamber. How may it be determined that a reciprocating engine with a dry sump is pre-oiled sufficiently? Oil will flow from the engine return line or indicator port. One of the best indicators of reciprocating engine combustion chamber problems is spark plug condition. To reduce the power output of an engine equipped with a constant speed propeller and operating near maximum BMEP, the manifold pressure is reduced with the throttle control before the RPM is reduced with the propeller control. An increase in manifold pressure with a constant RPM will cause the bearing load in the engine to increase. Which condition would be the least likely to be caused by failed or failing engine bearings? Low oil temperature. What is likely to occur if a reciprocating engine is operated at high power settings before it is properly warmed up? Oil starvation of bearings and other parts. What could cause excessive pressure buildup in the crankcase of a reciprocating engine? Plugged crankcase breather. Valve clearance changes on opposed type engines using hydraulic lifters are accomplished by push rod replacement. The valve clearance of an engine using hydraulic lifters, when the lifters are completely flat or empty, should not exceed a specified amount above zero. To what altitude will a turbocharged engine maintain sea level pressure? Critical altitude. Full floating piston pins are those which allow motion between the pin and both the piston and the small end of the connecting rod. Which bearing is least likely to be a roller or ball bearing? Master rod bearing. Radial engine. The horsepower developed in the cylinders of a reciprocating engine is known as the indicated horsepower. The actual power delivered to the propeller of an aircraft engine is called brake power. The floating control thermostat used on some reciprocating engine installations helps regulate oil temperature by controlling airflow through the oil cooler. If the exhaust valve of a 4-stroke cycle engine is closed and the intake valve is just closed, the piston is on the compression stroke. Excessive valve clearances will cause the duration of valve opening to decrease for both intake and exhaust valves. Direct mechanical push-pull carburetor heat control linkages should normally be adjusted so that the stop located on the diverter valve will be contacted before the stop at the control lever is reached in both hot and cold positions. An aircraft reciprocating engine using hydraulic valve lifters is observed to have no clearance in its valve operating mechanism after the minimum inlet oil and cylinder head temperatures for takeoff have been reached. When can this condition be expected? During normal operation. Which of the following would indicate a general weak engine condition when operated with a fixed pitch propeller or test club? Lower than normal static RPM, full throttle operation. What will be likely result if the piston ring gaps happen to be aligned when performing a differential pressure compression check on a cylinder? A worn or defective rings indication. What is the principal advantage of using a propeller reduction gears? To enable the engine RPM to be increased with an accompanying increase in power and allow the propeller to remain at a lower, more efficient RPM. Which statement is correct regarding engine crankshafts? Movable counterweights serve to reduce the torsional vibrations in an aircraft reciprocating engine. Which of the following will decrease volumetric efficiency in a reciprocating engine? Improper valve timing, sharp bends in the induction system, and high carburetor air temperatures. A condition that occurs in radial engines but is unlikely to occur in horizontally opposed engines is hydraulic lock. During overhaul, the disassembled parts of an engine are usually degreased with some form of mineral spirits solvent rather than water mixed degreasers, primarily because water mixed degreaser residues may cause engine oil contamination in the overhauled engine. What is the purpose of installing 2 or more springs on each valve in an aircraft engine? To eliminate valve spring vibration or surging. Not bad.